Welcome to the Explainer. So let's just jump right in with a totally counterintuitive question, one that kind of challenges everything we've been taught about positive reinforcement. Think about it for a second. What actually happens when you praise someone for being smart, or talented, or naturally gifted? I mean, we do it all the time, right? With our kids, our coworkers, even ourselves. We do it because we expect it to build confidence and drive. But does it?
Well, here is the stark, kind of shocking reality. It actually undermines their performance. Yeah, you heard that right. Praising someone's inherent traits instead of their actual effort completely backfires when they eventually face a real challenge. Just think about it. When we tie someone's core identity to a static label like smart, suddenly, the moment they struggle, they have absolutely everything to lose.
Okay, so today we're going to dive deep into this fascinating source material to uncover the neural mechanics of how our beliefs about learning, and especially our beliefs about stress, literally dictate our biological reality. We're looking at the deep neurobiological roots of the growth mindset, a concept championed by Dr. Carol Dweck, and how combining that with what's called a stress-is-enhancing mindset changes the very way our brains and bodies function. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the problem with smart, inside the brain on errors, the secret power of stress, the synergistic mindset advantage, and finally, tools for real growth. Basically, we're journeying from the psychology of praise straight into your brainwaves and finishing up with actionable steps you can use right away. All right, Section 1, the problem with smart and why labels hold us back. We are looking at Carol Dweck's landmark 1998 study, which is essentially the spark that started the entire growth mindset revolution. Notice the stark contrast we're making here. On one hand, intelligence praise ties identity to static labels. On the other hand, effort praise is attached entirely to verbs and actions. So, in this famous study, researchers gave kids problems to solve, and then offered them one of two types of feedback. One group got that intelligence praise, things like, wow, you are so smart, or you're so talented. The other group got effort praise, focusing entirely on the verbs. You tried really hard, or you persisted.
The outcomes were just striking. The kids praised for intelligence? They actually picked easier problems moving forward. Why? Because they had to protect that shiny new smart label. Their future performance decreased. And, perhaps most shockingly, get this, they were highly likely to lie about their scores to the researchers just to protect their egos. Meanwhile, the effort praise group, who were rewarded for the verbs of trying and persisting, eagerly chose harder tasks. They increased their overall performance, and they truthfully reported their scores. They literally learned to value the friction of the process over having a fancy label.
Moving on to Section 2, inside the brain on errors, or what happens when we fail. What exactly is going on under the hood in our brains when we make a mistake?
To figure this out, researchers used something called event-related potentials, or ERPs, to track real-time brain activity. Basically, subjects were fitted with these sci-fi-looking skull caps to measure electrical activity while they answered trivia questions, stated their confidence in their answers, and then were told flat out that they answered incorrectly. The scientists were specifically hunting for the brain's real-time, immediate reaction to getting things wrong. And the data was wild. It showed that a fixed mindset triggers a massive emotional response to an error. When these subjects heard, "No, you got that wrong," a specific brainwave called the P3 wave completely spiked in the anterior cingulate cortex. That's an area linked to emotional and somatic responses. They were internally reeling. But for those with a growth mindset, the brain immediately shifted toward cognitive appraisal. Instead of just feeling terrible, their brain spent energy asking, wait, why is that wrong? How can I fix this?
Okay, Section 3, the secret power of stress and reevaluating the body's alarm system. Now that we understand the growth mindset, we really need to introduce a second paradigm shift regarding how we handle the friction of learning and life's challenges in general.
Look at this quote from Dr. Alia Crum over at Stanford. Experiencing stress improves health and vitality. This introduces an absolute breakthrough. The stress-is-enhancing mindset. It proves that our cognitive belief about stress dictates whether it actually helps or hurts us. In her groundbreaking research, she found that if you simply teach people that stress is a biological mechanism designed to enhance performance and focus, rather than just this toxic force that we always need to avoid, well, their bodies actually respond differently to stressful situations. Literally just learning that stress is meant to focus your resources alters your physiology. It's a real game changer. When people embrace a stress-is-enhancing mindset, they experience a significantly shorter duration of cortisol release. Their heart's stroke volume increases, which means they're pumping more blood with each beat. Peripheral blood flow actually increases too, keeping them cognitively sharp instead of just shutting down. Astonishingly, their body even shifts toward an anabolic state, releasing pro-performance hormones like testosterone and estrogen, rather than breaking the body down. Your mind's belief about stress literally changes your biological reality under pressure. No way, right? But it's true.
All right, let's move into Section 4, the synergistic mindset advantage. We're going to see how all of this builds when we combine both of these incredible frameworks, which was highlighted in David Yeager's massive 2022 Nature study.
A staggering 40% improvement. That is how much self-regard improved in students who took just a single 30-minute tutorial combining the growth mindset with the stresses-enhancing mindset. In experiments like the Trier social stress test, which, by the way, is where subjects are forced to do public speaking and live math in front of an unamused, frowning audience. Sounds like a nightmare, right? The subjects who learned about these two synergistic mindsets experienced totally buffered anxiety. They maintained that peripheral blood flow, they actively leaned into the challenge, and they even voluntarily took on harder academic courses long after the 30-minute intervention had ended. Combining the belief that you can improve with the belief that stress is the very fuel for that improvement creates an unstoppable cognitive synergy.
So, how do we take all this complex neuroscience and actually apply it? That brings us to Section 5, Tools for Real Growth and Actionable Steps for Everyday Life. Let's break this down.
These 3 steps are proven to reinforce intrinsic motivation. Number 1, praise verbs over labels, especially when you perform well. Seriously, don't just say, I'm a genius. Say, I persistently analyzed that data until I finally understood it. Number 2, actively seek help to analyze your errors. High performers don't sweep mistakes under the rug. They recruit others to help cognitively appraise the verbs that led to the error. But I really want you to pay special attention to this 3rd step. Write a letter explaining the growth and stress mindset to someone else, maybe the next person trying to learn your specific skill. Because teaching the mindset effectively wires it into your own brain, totally solidifying those new neural pathways.
We also need to reframe that common mind is like a muscle analogy. Think about it. When you lift weights, the blood flow creates a pump, a tangible, kind of good feeling of the growth to come. But cognitive growth? It absolutely doesn't feel good in the moment. Unlike a gym pump, the friction, frustration, and intense agitation you feel when you're struggling with new information, that is the actual biological process of learning occurring in real time. We expect learning to feel smooth and easy, but biologically speaking, neuroplasticity just feels like stress.
I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful quote from calculus professor Yuri Treisman to help reframe your next difficult challenge. He said, "Stress is an indicator that your understanding is deepening. It's a sign that you are learning." So I ask you, if frustration and stress are merely the physical sensations of your brain expanding its own biological limits, what hard thing will you choose to learn next? Thanks so much for joining this explainer. Keep embracing that friction, and I'll catch you next time.